Well, good evening, and happy Tuesday, and welcome to this week's edition of the Leadership Edge. I'm your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder. This Leadership Edge podcast is dedicated to talking leadership, all things leadership, whether that leadership be business leadership, religious leadership, political leadership. Amen. We just talk about leadership and how leaders function. And our goal is called the Leadership Edge because our goal is to give you that edge you need to be a better leader than you are. Now listen, before we get started in our leadership talk tonight, I want to remind you, watching us on BGTV Studios, go ahead, hit the share button, hit the like button, share it, tag a friend so that the web of this podcast can spread far and wide. Also, don't forget YouTube, BGTV Studios YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. We'll get that subscriber list up. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button and become a subscriber to BGTV Studios. All right. Well, let's talk leadership. I'm glad again to have back with us tonight. On last week we had a host, my friend, my apostle, my leader, Bishop Stephen A. Davis, the pastor of Refresh Family Church here in Birmingham, one of the leading churches in the city. And he's one of the leading men in the city. So we are blessed to have him. And I want to say welcome back, Bishop Davis.
Thank you, Dr. Wilder. It's an honor to be back with you. I didn't know I was the leading person in the city, but I'm just glad to be in the crowd.
Well, great. We're glad to have you again. We know your schedule and your responsibilities you have you moving a lot. So thank you for taking the time out to share with our audience. And just from the comments we've gotten there in Georgia, and we have, when the Baptist folk will tell you, this church ain't looking for no pastor. Leadership Edge ain't looking for another host. Okay. Hey, you did great last week, and man, it's just awesome. It's just great talking to you. I mean, I learned so much from you, gleaned so much from you, and I just want the audience to be able to. You already have a great audience and platform, but I want the audience that I minister to hear you and hear your leadership insights on various subjects. So.
Well, it's an honor to be here with you. I'm enjoying myself. We always have fun together.
Great.
Anyway.
Didn't ask you the last time. How's Lady Davis doing?
She's doing very well.
Tell her, say hello and tell Sasha.
I'll do that.
Right.
I'll do that. You do the same towards your wife.
I will. And we're right in the middle of the shift conference, so we got one more night where tonight as we are talking, but then tomorrow night, Wednesday night is the final night of this year's shift conference, and man, the shift is a great conference.
Well, Shift Conference is always phenomenal. Every single year, annually, we have phenomenal speakers and phenomenal presenters. And Dr. Wilder has been a presenter, a daytime presenter, and a nighttime presenter. I promised him he was going to present one night, and we were able to make sure that he was on the platform that night, and he done an excellent job. He preached like he was preaching internationally.
Well, thank you for that opportunity. All right, let's talk about leadership. On last week, you gave us the definition of leadership. You talked about influence, and that was great. We talked about a lot of things. One of the big questions about leaders is that are leaders born or are leaders made? So basically, is it just something that you just got and it's there? Either you're born with leadership or you're not, or leadership can be learned and developed. What's your position on that?
My position on that, because I was not a natural leader.
Okay.
I was developed into a leader. If you go back to John Maxwell, would say you can always tell what a leader is when they're small kids. You look out on the playground and you can see which one's the leader.
Right.
Well, I was possibly the one sitting out there, maybe just sitting or following someone else. But with adequate leadership information, it developed me into the leader that I am now. And I think the appreciation for leadership is greater when you have been developed into a leader. That's my personal thoughts.
Wow, and that's awesome because I know some well-known leadership experts and gurus who believe that leadership, especially high-level leadership like yourself. Now, I think they believe anybody can become a leader at some level, but to get to certain levels of leadership, you just got to have that in you. But you are the exception that you didn't have that You learned, so you are proof that leadership can be made and developed.
Yes, I fully agree with that simply because I know what I was at the beginning and I know what I am now. So I'm very in touch with my beginning and where I am right now, and it was effort. And once you put efforts into something, you appreciate it. So I appreciate where I am, and I appreciate even where I'm going because I'm not done. I'm still learning. I'm still being equipped. I'm still being mentored, and I'm becoming a better person each day. So I really appreciate it because there was effort put into it.
Wow, that's something you just said before I go to that. let me just say, having been around you and watched you, you ain't the kid sitting in the playground now while everybody. You the kid now with everybody around. You take the lead. But you said that you are still being mentored. Now here's the Bishop Davis, again, a leading man, a leader of leaders, yet still being mentored. Talk about the importance of that. How? Because somebody will say, well, why you need mentoring? You there? You've arrived.
Well, I have on my door as you go into my office. I have a little picture that
Which
says,
is like the Oval Office, y'all. I've only got to go into it one time, and I'm close with this guy. Just one.
but it says never stop growing.
Okay.
So if I'm never going to stop growing, I can't give up the principle of being mentored. Gotcha. In some way, I'm going to be mentored by someone. Mm-hmm. I'm going to become accountable to someone to carry out their instructions. So I use that as a tool. It's not that I'm a puppet, not that I feel like I'm just out there and I just need guidance. I want to grow, and leaders have to have that desire to grow if they're going to keep leading. I want to lead after this period of time, after this decade. I want to continue to lead in 2030. I want to keep leading, so I have to keep being mentored, whether it be directly or through YouTube or some video or something like that.
Wow, that's awesome. So basically, you see leadership as a journey that I must, and not a destination. I'm on a journey, like being on the ocean in a boat, sailing to a shore that I'm gonna never get to.
Exactly. I can see myself way in the future, sitting on a porch in a rocking chair, mentoring,
wow.
inspiring,
wow.
equipping, maybe no longer on the platform, no longer with a microphone, but inspiring other leaders to keep going, and they can accomplish great things if they keep working at it.
You know, you talk about this whole issue of growing and keep growing. And I see so many leaders get to a point where they stop and they plateau. And they just start sailing down. Because if you just stop that growth process, the only thing left to do is to head down.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right.
So I appreciate that. Speaking of growing, being a lifelong learner, that's what it sounds like you are.
Yes.
You know, and I appreciate you because the one thing about you, you know, when you learn something, you immediately bring it back to us,
yes.
you know,
yes.
the guys you lead,
yes.
you know, because, you know, the real issue is if we don't grow together, what happens? We grow apart.
Exactly.
And what happens too many times among leaders is they grow, but they don't help the people to grow. Yeah. And so they grow apart. Or, you know, you're a master at this. You go somewhere and you learn something. Well, next thing you do, you go get your leaders. You're going back with it.
Exactly.
Got to keep that growing, that lifelong process. The one thing I've noticed when I've came around your church, at Refresh, and even in your ministry, watching you, and I'm a leader, so I observe, I watch leaders. You know, I watch you a lot of time when you don't even know I'm watching you, whether in person, on social media, or from a distance. I love to watch leaders and how they function in key moments. And I watch you, but the one thing I've noticed about Refresh and you is that every time I've came around, it seems like to me, the church had great momentum. And let's talk for a moment about momentum in leadership, the importance of momentum in leadership and in the ministry. How does that affect you?
My wife and I was talking about that last week. Momentum is everything because once you lose it, it's hard to regain it. So I work really hard to keep the car moving, so to speak. And we know that if a car comes to a standstill and you're pushing it, it's harder to get it to start again.
Right.
So if I feel like and there's nothing wrong with slowing down, but it is something wrong with stopping.
Gotcha.
So I work to keep the momentum going. So I think of things and I stay sensitive, especially to the Spirit of God. I stay sensitive so that I can do certain things. I came up with this thing called splash.
Okay.
Whenever I feel like the momentum is dropping or things are slowing down, we got to take this boulder and throw it over in the water. So this big thing has to happen. So you've heard of my I Am the One segment.
Right.
That was a boulder being thrown into the water to create a splash.
Okay. And it's created a great splash.
Yeah. So I'll do certain things that'll create momentum, bring more excitement, anticipation. The Shift Conference, it's like a momentum builder.
Okay.
So certain things are in place to help to build that momentum. So I'm very conscious in my mind when that needs to happen, and not take the people too fast, but just give them something to stir them. And it's just things that come through listening to God and watching other leaders.
I love what John Maxwell says about momentum. He calls it the big exaggerator.
Yeah.
He said when you got momentum, big problems seem small.
Yes, that's correct.
But when you don't have momentum, small problems seem large.
Been there, done that.
Make it, So we've talked about what I would consider the positive side of leadership. We're going to talk more, but there's another side. There's always that flip side of the coin.
Yeah.
So speaking of momentum, and you talk about how important it is not to stop. What happens, or how do you handle situations where there are people who are a clear and present threat within the ministry to that momentum? They may be in positions, and there may need to be a transition.
Yeah.
You're moving. You understand? How do you handle that as a leader?
Yeah, as you were asking the question, I started to think about refocusing the attention of the whole off of the problem.
Okay.
So while I'm dealing with the problem, then I have a focus forward as I'm dealing with the problem, to take the energy of the positive people, keep them focused on the future, take the energy off of the negativity that's going on. So it's more work on me because I'm dealing with both. But if I can get, and I'm pretty sure you've heard it, you got your 20, you got 20% of the people who are positive, 20% of the negative, and then you got 60% just wait and see which side they're going to go. So I have to influence those 20% and then bring less attention to the 20 that's negative. So I try to redirect, and it's not always easy, but I really try to redirect the attention on something positive while I'm dealing with the negative. And usually they see. They really know that positive 20% know that negative 20% exists. But the 60%, they don't know.
Okay.
They don't know all the details. So we're navigating that positive energy while we're dealing with the negativity as well. There's never a moment that I'm not dealing with something that's negative.
Are there ever times when somebody in the negative 20 has to become a casualty?
Very often.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, biblically, as Moses was in the wilderness, Korah and Dathan, they became a casualty.
Right.
So there are going to be casualties. And you don't want that.
Right.
I mean, in the heart of the leader is connected to the positive and the negative.
Right.
But there are going to be times in leadership, there's going to be casualties, and those are the things that you have to process in your heart. But there are going to be casualties sometimes.
I have a leadership teaching on my website called the Maximus Principle. I take it from the movie Gladiator.
Wow.
And they're getting ready to fight this battle. And Maximus is the leader, who's played by Russell Crowe. And his number 2 man, who's finna lead the men to war, Maximus tells him to go to the battle, and he's finna say, we're not ready yet, there's confusion, and if we go now, there'll be casualties. And when he got ready to say there'll be casualties, Maximus says acceptable. What he was saying is casualties are acceptable.
In other words, we have to embrace the losses that are going to take. They're going to take place, but it's based on how we approach it, and we understand. I've been teaching my daughter Sasha, and for a long time, Sasha had a problem with death, especially when it was a family member. But now through our teaching and just coaching, what if we live forever? We can't. People are going to die. So there are going to be casualties. You got to embrace that and understand it's part of living. So leadership, moving forward, vision, there are going to be casualties, and there's no way around that. So you have to process it and then teach your people who are supporting you, this is going to happen.
Right.
And so it's part of just embracing that part as well.
I remember how you handle this. I remember years ago, I was part of an organization, and there were some issues within the organization. I'm a loyal person. I think leaders, we should always want people to tell us what we need to hear and not what we want to hear.
Exactly.
So the leader of the organization asked me to do something with the other leaders in the organization to get the pulse of it.
Yeah.
Well, when I came back with the real pulse, the message wasn't good. And so what the leader took to do was kill me, kill the messenger. I'm with you. I'm bringing you the news of what they're not telling you this because people tend to tell the leader what they want to hear. I'm just giving you what they told me aside from you. How do we as leaders in our churches and what we do embrace what I would consider the brutal facts, although the facts may not be good, without killing the messengers?
Well, my thing is, and you've helped me evaluate leaders before,
Right.
and I called you in because I understood your expertise.
Right.
I brought you in for that reason. And if I brought you in because of the expertise you have, then I have to allow you to give me your honest opinion about the things and embrace it. Or I'm wasting my time and your time.
Exactly.
They should never invite you. A leader should never invite you, and knowing that's your expertise, and then not value what you have to say.
Gotcha.
So I'm a real leader. I pretty much know what I need at times, especially when it comes to partnership. But as far as killing your credibility because you gave me your honest opinion and I brought you in, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good leadership.
Right, I agree. Thank you. Great. You know, we'll conclude these next few moments we got around this subject about leadership because, you talked about you see yourself 30 years from now sitting on the porch still training, still mentoring, and that means that you're finishing. We studied in school about finishing well, okay? And there were 4 ways that the Bible that we found that leaders finished. They finished, some were cut off early. They didn't finish in the leadership. Others finished so-so, poorly. I mean, they would just finish poor. They just were terrible leaders at the end. Some finished so-so. They wasn't good, but they wasn't all bad. And the others finished well. That means at the end of their leadership, they were vibrant. They were strong. Relationship with God still intact. We found out that only 33% of leaders finish well, 1 out of 3. Our goal is to be one of them.
Yes.
one of them 30. We have seen in the past couple of months great leaders that you and I both respect. Not judging them, but we just respect them, who stepped aside from leadership because of moral failures. And in some cases, most of them are, years of ministry almost has been inside some people just dash, that's no good. Obviously, we understand you can't invalidate what somebody's done previously. What do you think some of the things that we need to do as leaders to enhance our ability to finish well?
What I've done in my personal life is made sure I learn from the good and the bad, and being under great leaders. And they'll tell you everything that we do is not always the correct way, and we learn from it. But you get a front row seat to see us do great things, and then you get a chance to see us fail miserably. So you learn from that. And I would think more into relationships. And when you get into relationships, in order to finish well, it's going to be based on the relationships that you have. People who can, speak into your lives, just like what you were talking about earlier, and you not get offended, and they can guide you in certain, areas. Because I really want to finish well. I really work from maybe childhood to have a good name. I didn't know when I started pastoring, people were going to try to destroy my name.
Destroy that name.
But it's the relationships that I have, and even like you, when I come around you, you said you learned from me, but I become accountable to you. And I think you told me something, one of my shift conferences, you told me something, Apostle Davis, maybe you should have addressed that in a different way. I listened to you. And it's not that I felt offended or anything. I listened to you and I made adjustments. If we make adjustments, we will finish well. But we have to be willing to listen to people that we brought into our circle. We have to listen to them so we can finish well. So I believe that it's the people you surround yourself with that's going to determine whether you finish well or not.
That's great. I like that. Yeah, it's we all need people to cover our blind spots.
Yes.
We've all been driving down the road and got ready to switch over. It's like heard a horn, look, there's a car we didn't see. We looked in the mirrors, but what happened? It was in our blind spot. You know,
Yeah.
and life and ministry has blind spots. We don't see everything.
Too many blind spots.
Yes. But, man, I appreciate you. We got about a couple of minutes left. So I'm going to let you give your closing remarks to the audience. You got about a minute and a half to just say whatever you want to say about your last 2 weeks on the program.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I'm with a friend. I'm with someone that I know is going to cover me and make sure I look good. And that's always important. And I want to encourage you as you're building relationships and you're moving forward in leadership, surround yourself with people who are going to be honest with you, but also protect you. And just like Dr. Wilder said, you know, we have blind spots. And I said we have them everywhere. Well, the people who protect you and watch out for you, they see those blind spots and they can tell you things as well as you tell them things. And be open to receive from people who can really help you if you want to last for a long time. In November, I'll turn 57 years old. I know I don't look like it because I got people watching my blind spots, okay? But that's very important, and I believe God can really take you a very long way. Just surround yourself with people who care and people who are genuine, and I believe God will do amazing things with you. Again, thank you, Dr. Wilder, for having me on. I feel so much better. I feel so much quality in life. I feel like I've gone to another level just being around you because you really teach on leadership, and leadership is everything, especially when you're called by God.
Hey, thank you, man, so much for being here. Continue to watch my blind spots. I really need you. I appreciate you. Appreciate the relationship. And thank you for your influence and impartation. And listen, if your schedule allows it in the future, we would love for you to come back. I'm sure the audience will, so will you come back?
I will come back.
All right. We're going to make that happen, everybody. Again, don't forget, he's a pastor of Refresh Family Church in the Centerpoint, Birmingham area, in Roebuck, up that way, up near around the Centerpoint, Birmingham line. Great church. Go visit. Listen, time is up, but don't forget, visit the website, www.pronaldwilder.com. Go there on the website. You can get my book, The ABCs of Leadership, Principles for Personal Development. This book is in the hands of some of the greatest leaders in our country, and they are being blessed by it. Get reports all the time, so grab your copy on the website. Also, go to the shop page on the website. There you'll find all of my leadership teachings, the Maximus Principle we talked about, rules of engagement. It's all great. You can download them, but the best buy is the bundle package we have here, and the bundle package involves taking all the leadership teaching that's on the website and putting them on this jump drive. You can put them on your devices and have it all the time. So please, you can get this for less than half of what if you bought everything individually on the website. So please visit and do that. Now listen, don't forget your support of BGTV Studios. BGTV Studios, God has blessed this platform. It is ran strictly by support of people like you. You can give several ways. Number one, go online to bgtvstudios.com, or you can go text any amount to 84321. Both of those sites are highly encrypted. You can give in great security. Do that, and amen, we'll appreciate it. Listen, don't forget, next week, back on the Leadership Edge. Again, we appreciate Apostle Stephen A. Davis for being with us the last 2 weeks. Look forward to him coming back. Listen, this is your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder, signing off, but I'm reminding you of the two things I always remind you of as I close. Number one, leadership matters. And number two, leaders lead. God bless you. I'll see you on next Tuesday.